we just went off to see Transformers The Last Night, which I think is the 6th? Maybe it's the 5th. 5th or 6th.
It's the first one I've seen.
And it's not the first one I've seen. I've seen 1 and 2. Didn't want to see the rest. They hurt. They really hurt. Did not like 1 and 2. But I can say this is the least awful Transformers film I've seen.
Hey! I've not seen a Transformers film before, and I really liked it. I thought it was fun.
I didn't like it very much. I didn't hate it. There's lots of really interesting ideas, and it's got the traditional Michael Bay problem of he knows how to make a scene look cool, but not necessarily understanding how to make a framework behind it that makes it completely awesome, just the looks cool part.
But all the scenes hung together. Like, there were cool looking scenes, which were really, really good, but they did all have a bigger net. It wasn't a particularly brilliant net. It's not the best film I've ever seen, but it didn't make you hate yourself.
There were a lot of because movie moments where things just happen because that's the plot. That's what, needs to happen to get to the next awesome set piece that Michael Bay came up with when he was just smashing toys together.
But that's part of the fun, because it's like the Transformers, it's like an epic story with the little toys. For me, it really felt like the toys. It felt like fun. It felt like play. There were dinosaurs. There were knights. There was a battle, like a medieval battle at the beginning. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah. In some ways, I feel sorry for the designers in this film because they put a lot of work into a lot of stuff that no one will care about. For example, there are these little talismans that the Knights of King Arthur had, and around them is a Latin inscription, and inside them are all these interesting designs. So much work, nobody cares. And the Knights of the Round Table have a huge round table. You get like a glimpse of it, and then it's gone. And there's a tomb, and on top of it is a carefully recreated crown of the Holy Roman Emperor in stone. Gone. It was there for a second. And it wasn't even an important part, so I feel kind of sorry for those designers.
To be fair, that's one of the things I liked about this film, is you really felt like you knew where every pound of your admission ticket went. They went underwater and there were jellyfish. There didn't need to be jellyfish. There were eels. There didn't need to be eels. There was so much that was just so extravagant and luxurious. I thought it was a really good film if you want to just relax and let your mind go for a little while. And cool explosions.
Yeah, there's a lot of very interesting ideas in this film that don't go anywhere. For example, there's the secret history of Transformers, which is in the trailer, that's no spoiler. And they have lots of images of how Transformers are altering history, from our perspective, how Transformers are involved in history. We don't really get to see any of it. They would have been much cooler films. And there's this whole opening scene where, if you've seen the third film, the Battle of Chicago that just wrecks the place, you get to see the aftermath of that. That's really cool. That actually reminds me of the 2014 Godzilla film and the first half of that, which was also really cool. And then similarly went and did something else that wasn't nearly as cool.
Yeah. But I liked that. I felt that it had a really good sense of place. You really felt like you were there in Chicago. There was a few characters who were only on for a few moments, but were characters, and it really had a sense of place. You felt like there could be its own spin-off film just in this little area. And I like that. I like it when films give you a little home to take with you. A little nice story within the story. You know what I mean. Like The Hobbit versus Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't like that aspect. I thought there were a lot of characters that were disposable. It's got all the Michael Bay problems. It's got somewhat worrying racism in a kind of blockbuster kind of way. It's got huge numbers of characters that don't need to exist for the plot. It's got many times more story than it has the time to tell. There's at least 3 films in that, and it's got weird editing things. It's almost as if it had 3 different editors. There's like the first third is all very dramatic and slowly building up, and then the middle bit is almost comedic, and then the third bit is Michael Bay action. And it's just...
All three were good.
How do they go together? And there's bits where characters will drop out of the film for half an hour. They'll just disappear. So you're introduced to them. It's like, I wonder what their name is. And you never find out. Not for at least half an hour.
Who's that? Oh, yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Almost everyone. Almost everyone.
Yeah, to be fair. I really loved the fact that it was set, like a lot of it was set in Oxford. And that's our home city. And it was really cool to see all the scenes. I'm sorry, I thought it was really cool. I also loved featuring the Stonehenge. I can just imagine my students going crazy to see the places they visited.
Yeah, whereas I thought it being in Oxford was stupid because they kept jumping between London and Oxford as if it was like jumping between, I don't know, Manhattan and the Bronx.
Yeah, they did keep doing that.
Like,
they're really far apart.
One scene is meant to be like a minute long at most, and it takes them from central London to central Oxford.
It's really confusing actually because I got really lost, and I don't know whether you get the same feeling if you have never been to those two locations, but it was confusing.
Also, if you don't want to see this film, but you do want to see it, as it were, don't want to go in and pay for it, just watch Thor: The Dark World, the second Thor film.
Da Vinci Code. Just smush them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Maybe Godzilla 2014 as well. Those three films just...
But it was a good film. It was a bit long. It was 2.5 hours. But if you're looking for a film on a Friday night, you've had a stressful week at work, I really recommend it. The only thing I have is it's a 12A, but there were some very rude characters. I wouldn't take a kid to it. I wouldn't take a child to it because there was a lot of shut ups and bitch and shit that they really seemed out of place to me. They really seemed like characters were just rude to each other, and I wouldn't want that example for my kids. As adults, we can be like, ha ha ha, that's so funny because they're behaving totally inappropriately. But as a child, you pick that kind of stuff up. The other thing is that the sound, the music, the soundtrack was poor. Especially when they're like flying dinosaurs and fire-breathing stuff. You want a really cool, light-hearted, fun, guitar-y backing. And there was none of that. There was just dramatic chords every so often.
It isn't just that it was, lacking a major theme or anything. It was also amateurly put together. There would just be sort of emotional scene, initiate, ka-chunk. Emotional music, initiate, ka-chunk. Yeah.
And there was never fun music. There was never upbeat music.
Don't see it, it's awful. Don't, no.
No, it's good.
Watch different films. Stay at home, get a DVD of anything else.
But you can't get popcorn at home.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but you can.
It's not the same! So, we can watch, in fact our only option, is Baby Driver, which looks really interesting.
I saw the end bit of a trailer for that, and it didn't look as awful as some films have.
It's got Kevin Spacey in it. And Jamie Foxx.
They are both actors. They are often okay. No, it could be interesting.
See you next week.
Bye.